I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It could be that there are those of you here that already have some idea of what this small mystery is, though you may not know it. On the other hand, there could be those here that haven't even had this thought cross their mind. But you seem like a good crowd, and I'm willing to trust you with this rather significant family dynamic. I have 30 sisters. Seeing as how there are some relatively large families in Bernathen, I can see how some of you might be able to compete with that. Think on this, though. My sisters come from all over the country. They come from 180 degrees around the world. And I think we all can agree that 31 is a pretty hefty number, especially if you think about it from the perspective of the mama, the warden, that takes responsibility for us all. Now, I don't feel right just laying the facts out there for you and not expanding on them. I think I owe you an explanation and perhaps a few stories that may help you understand exactly what goes on behind the scenes at a place that 31 girls call home. I've been surrounded by friends, laughing until I thought my sides would explode if I took another breath. I've also felt more solitude than I can remember on nights spent alone in my house back in North Carolina. Though those isolated, lonely feelings were more prevalent towards the beginning of the year. And I think that would be true for most new dorm girls. Coming to a town that is totally foreign to you is truly a unique experience. The first couple of weeks in the dorm are more like summer camp than actual school, which helps you quickly form connections with the other girls. The neat thing about it, though, and the reason why I say I have 30 sisters rather than 30 random girls running around in my personal space 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is because those initial bonds that you form in the first few weeks are the ones that run the deepest. Building friendships that mold you, help shape your character, and realize who you are is, I think, one of the most important things you can do for yourself. And I didn't even see it coming. Just like that, I had these incredible companionships with girls I had known for only a short period of time. At the start of the first semester, I didn't know how I was going to handle sharing what is essentially a cubicle with another person, simply because I had had my own room since I was in the second grade. My roommate, Beth, and I had split our share of the cell block right down the middle. There was this invisible line that we wanted to cross, but at the same time didn't. I know for me, if I stepped over the line, it was as if I had penetrated a barrier, and it was like, whoa. I have set foot on Beth's tiles. I am on Beth's side of the room and must therefore make conversation. Yeesh. Then, slowly, over the course of the first quarter, we got to know each other, we rearranged our furniture, and our room became much more open and communal. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around and Beth had to leave a day early to catch her flight back to Ada, Oklahoma, I couldn't even fathom the idea of having to sleep in our room by myself. Suddenly, a space that had seemed so small just a couple of months ago now appeared huge and a little disconcerting with the lack of Beth there to share it with me. Those sort of sentiments are the ones that go with true friendships. They're the kind that I think people really need in order to appreciate who they are. However, this is not all said to glorify the inmates of Glen Hall by making our relationships with one another appear totally righteous and at all times moral. In fact, I think I would be doing dorm life an injustice if I did not touch on one of the more shameful topics, which happens to be very close to my heart. Now, Every family has its spats. I think any parent in this crowd that has had to play the middleman in one brawl or another can attest to that statement. Though, in a group of 31 girls, what would normally be just your average bout of sibling rivalry suddenly morphs into a fairly vicious form of guerrilla warfare. You see, what has been true of this type of battle ever since it made its origins hundreds of years ago is still valid, and I personally think it is perfected in a simple dorm setting. The key to a successful attack is the element of surprise. You make your strike, then you fade back into the scenery. You're in the heat of battle, then you're gone. You're like the ghost that was never there. However, the trick to a victorious prank in Glen Hall is not only what I like to call the ghost tactic, but also a massively clever diversion. For example, I may cover a girl's bed with stale potato chips, most likely originating in the 70s. Or perhaps I stealthily slip a large quantity of salt into my friend's water bottle. Now, most likely your target will assume that her roommate has done the deed. Therefore, it is vital when asked about the prank to act nonchalant and appalled that someone would perform such a heinous act. This puts the roommate in the line of fire, allowing you to sit back and watch as your target concocts what is known as the revenge strike. Aha. The revenge strike. You see, a revenge strike is much different and often much more furious than the original prank. The original trick is usually something relatively innocent, such as injecting body wash into a tube of toothpaste or slipping stink bugs through the crack under a girl's door. Quite often, the girl who is the victim of a revenge strike doesn't even see the attack coming. Unfortunately, this is probably due to the fact that she was not the one that made the original hit, but was merely assumed to be the offender. This girl may come back into her room after a long day, go to sit on her bed, only to realize too late that her mattress is no longer present. Or she may discover, only a second too late, that her dresser has in fact been flipped upside down, and the contents of her drawers are now strewn across the floor. Of course, these are all hypothetical situations. No one has actually ever stolen a girl's towel while she was in the shower, then reached in and turned the water so that it was freezing cold, forcing the girl to jump out of the shower only to discover the lack of towel. Because that would just be, well, cruel. In the end, the best part about pranks is when the prankee discovers that you were the one to pull the hoax. It's at this point that you get to credit yourself with being oh so clever, and the hallway is restored to a relative state of peace. But few pranks would be worth the effort if they ran the risk of grudges. Thankfully, most of the girls that have tricks played on them remain in good spirits after the whole ordeal is finished. I've fallen for dorm life. I've fallen for the relationships I now have, and I've fallen for my new family. My loud, funny, insane family is what has gotten me through the challenges of adjusting to a life that I would never have been able to conquer alone. Just being around 30 other girls, 30 sisters, has helped me uncover a part of myself that I never knew existed. Great friendships are timeless. And I urge everyone in this audience to take those close to them, keep them near, and never let go. Thank you.